Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back. This is Talk Your Shit with Deaja, where we drop the eye because not only can I talk my shit, but I want you to talk your shit too. Hope y'all are doing lovely on this Wednesday. I am. Update. I got a new job. Yay. Um, so yeah, I'm pretty happy. I haven't worked a full-time job in forever, so it feels I'm not as anxious as I thought I was gonna be, but maybe because it's just starting. But I can't wait to see what comes from out of it. I'm working at a drug and addiction rehab center, so I'm learning some more. Hopefully, some things that I can pass along, because ooh, substance abuse and alcohol abuse. Well, I guess that's substance, just like we mentioned last week in our household dysfunction is something that shows up in the life of a lot of people. So as I come across information, hopefully I can pass it along, because I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot and have lots of conversations and learn different stories and different things and be able to kind of formulate it into something that I can pass along to you all. So I can't wait. But it's been a great few days. So yeah, like I'm really looking forward to this new journey that I'm on. But I hope y'all are having a good week. We're in the middle, or whenever you're catching this, hopefully your week is going lovely, because mine is. Um, but last week, I know I mentioned, having my little brother on. I was able to get the conversation, but I will be putting it out next week. And it's going to be a part 1 and a part 2. And yeah, I can't wait for you all to see the conversation. It was our first time, doing it on camera. So I'm like, kind of happy that he sat down and did it with me. It made me happy. And what better way to have technically my first guest for the new version of Talk Your Shit, but he is my second guest. But who better to have than my twin, my little brother? So yeah, can't wait for y'all to see that. But so this week, I wanted to talk about emotional intelligence again. And I say again because I already did a video on it, that I will link somewhere. It's going to pop up, but I already did a video on it. So, or podcast episode, however you want to say it. So please go check that. Like I said, I'm going to link it, and I'm probably going to put the actual episode link to the streaming platforms in the description. So click on it wherever you see it, and go check it out. I really do want you to go check it out, because I want to see if you see the growth of where I started at talking about emotional intelligence to where I am now, because it's been a year, some change, or a year, or almost a year. And I feel like I have learned a lot and gone through a lot of information and been practicing a lot and stuff like that. So I want to see if you all can see the difference, because low key, I ain't gonna hold you, I kind of see a difference, but I don't. But I'm gonna go through why I say that now. So, but the reason why I felt like it was important to talk about emotional intelligence again is because in going through adverse childhood experiences, so ACEs, in the last few weeks that I've been going through it, I realized I've learned a lot about myself and the different things that trigger me. So with being triggered comes a lot of emotion and emotional responses that, if you don't necessarily know about emotional intelligence or are even emotionally aware of yourself, you're going to have big blowouts, which is the opposite of emotional intelligence, but you're going to have big blowouts. Whether that's verbally, blowing out, with hitting below the belt, saying things you ain't got no business, or physically. I don't really get physical, that's not my realm, but not to say that you probably don't have people around you that can get there. They might want to throw a couple punches because they were triggered, and that's the only way they can fight their way out of a battle. But yeah, and going through my aces and everything and learning about myself and what is still showing up for me and how it's impacting me, I'm realizing that I keep bumping into people that keep bumping into that stuff. And I'm actively working on how to communicate effectively that it is not nice that they're bumping up against my stuff. But sometimes I'm not going to always do it in the most emotionally intelligent way, quote unquote. Sometimes that shit coming out a little rough. I ain't going to hold you. But, you know, I'm aware. And I think that's half of the battle when it comes to emotional intelligence is awareness. Like, are you aware of your triggers? Are you even aware of what happens when you are triggered? Are you aware of when you need to walk away because you're triggered? Like, all of these things are so important, as well as when you're triggered, how you're now triggering other people, because it's not enough to be aware of just yourself. Emotional intelligence is being aware of everybody around you. And that right there, that is the part I don't think I got yet. I might have mentioned it the first go around in the first episode. Y'all go look at it and put in the comments and tell me and let me know. But that's the part I suck at. I am not, like, when I'm triggered, selflessness goes out the window. I ain't worried about nobody else but myself. I get very selfish. I am reactionary. Is that the word? I'm like reacting. I am in defense mode. Like, baby, don't try me. Like, and I'm working on it. I have my moments. I have my moments where I can be mindful of myself and the person in front of me, and then I have my moments where I don't give a fuck about none of that shit you saying. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. um, but yeah, like it's really like you. Not only do you have to be aware of yourself, you have to be aware of others, and that's where I want to be able to kind of go into more detail, not detail, but like have a more expanded conversation around that, because I've been like practicing letting people know when things are wrong with me. And it's been tough, to say the least. Like, conflict, I get why people avoid it. Like, I truly get why people run away, avoid it. They try to mask it with other stuff. Like, they try to escape it at all costs, because conflict is the most uncomfortable thing you can be in life ever. Like, it is so tough, especially with individuals that may be just as triggered as you are. Trying to even navigate that conversation is so complicated. And it's like, sometimes, no matter what you do, how you do it, how you say it, whatever, you're not going to get the results that you want. But, practicing and continue to put yourself in spaces of vulnerability is the only way to really be comfortable, getting to a space where not only are you aware of yourself and communicating your needs and what you're feeling and everything like that, you're also going to be aware of, okay, when I'm communicating this, I'm saying this, I can see that you're reacting this way, so maybe let me revamp this. Like, it gives you a opportunity to really put things into practice, to see how you're being received, because people talk about communication and knowing how to talk and all this other stuff, but you're really not effective unless the other person understands you, can receive what you're saying, doesn't get defensive by what you're saying, and all of that stuff. Like, that's the only way you can even get your message across. And so, in order to even quote unquote fact that you have to put yourself into that situation multiple times with that person to be able to see, okay, when we were having this conversation, I got triggered. I started to raise my voice. Then you started to da 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 da. Like, it's those things to even be able to catch yourself so that, okay, when we're having tough conversations, no matter how annoyed I get, let me think about the tone of my voice. If I notice that the tone of my voice, is it tone or volume? I say volume and tone, because tone probably it can get a little direct and snippy, but like tone, volume, like if that starts to change, let me take a moment. Let me say, hey, I need 5 minutes. Let me regroup. Let me relax. Let me listen to a song. Let me do something to pull myself away from the situation before it triggers you. And now you're defensive. I'm defensive. This conversation is getting nowhere. Nothing's being solved. None of that. So it's like, who communication is a beast, boy. Dad, I don't think that, like, I think that people do not, like, communication ain't easy at all. I think they do, and I think that's why a lot of people are like literally on some, if he ain't trying to do da 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 da, on to the next one, or if she ain't trying to get down on my program, on to the next one, because like people realize like this shit ain't easy. And so the moment you run into a snag or a little obstacle, you're just like, bitch, I ain't trying to jump over this. I'm gonna turn around and go a different way and take a different path to get to the same destination. And it's like, nah, you're gonna have to go through a lot of tough, like a lot of terrible conversations before you start getting to the ones that are actually of some substance. Because 9 times out of 10, you didn't learn how to talk to people correctly. Like, you didn't learn how to talk to people correctly, because a lot of people come from uh terrible backgrounds, like, to say the least. And it's not even like economically or anything like that. A lot of our parents just weren't emotionally sound or emotionally in tune with themselves. So we come from very emotionally terrible backgrounds. So more often than not, we didn't learn how to communicate right, say things right, do things. Like, we're actively learning as we deal with people on a day-to-day basis how to do it differently, because that was not something that we learned at home. We learned what they learned, and what they learned was terrible. So we're just like trying to undo it, but it's like, in order to, work on what is going wrong, you got to actively put yourself in situations. Like right now, like I mentioned, I'm dealing with somebody. I want to give up. I want to give up every week. I want to give up every week. I'm telling you, like, I want to give up every week. Like, you really don't get how much we run away from conflict until you start letting people know your needs. And that just seems like it's falling on deaf ears sometimes, because they also have needs that they're working on communicating. So imagine if you have two people that are both working to evolve in a situation together, that are both firstly practicing letting people know when something's wrong with them, and then it's literally missing each other. One would think that we would be able to understand each other and connect, and be able to relate, because we both are like firstly trying to do this. We're really trying to have the conversation, and we'd be missing each other in the heat of the moment. We're missing each other. Something that I am noticing though is that when we pause, relax, let the heat die down, we leave, and we can come back to the conversation a different day and have the best conversation ever. And I think that too much of conflict is us trying to fix the moment in the moment. Like, sometimes take a breath a day like, it's weird when, now if you can do it, do it, but it's weird when people be like, oh, we have to solve this problem within a certain amount of time or before the day is over and all this other stuff, because I'm just like, yo, emotions are high, we're both defensive, nobody's listening to each other, we're both saying the same thing but from different perspectives. Like, this is going in circles and it's getting nowhere fast. And then it ends up getting very, unnecessarily combative. Like, you're in war. Now you're trying to take cheap shots and stuff like that. And it's like, this is getting nowhere fast. Let's take a beat. Let's take a night or 2 days. Let's have a fun moment in between us, and then come back to the conversation when we're level-headed. The emotions from that incident is no longer there. We can talk rationally, and then we can go from there. Like, I really wish that more people taught, like, you don't have to solve the problem in the moment. If you need to, great. But if you're somebody where when you try to solve that thing in the moment, it just seems like it just keep getting worse and worse. Like, take a breath, take a moment, take a day, take a week. Have a good time with your spouse. Remember why you're there. Spouse, significant other, opposite, dating, whatever, partner, whatever you want to put into that line. But like, have a good time with them. Remind yourself of why this is important to figure it out. And then come back to the conversation. Like, I appreciate that the person I'm dealing with tries to solve it in the moment, because it's like, you really don't want anything to linger or fester or anything like that. But it's like, you're not trying to concede, I'm not trying to concede, you're not trying to hear me out, I'm not trying to hear you out. Like, in the moment, it's very selfish, very, I'm only in this for my needs to get figured out. Like, let's just take a beat, let's just take a breath. And for him, that's very hard for him. He's just like, I just want to get it out the way, but it ends up not being the best at all. Like, at all. I don't think we've had a situation yet where we've been able to figure it out that same day. But now you give us a day, 2 days. I think at most we've went 3 days where we just leave the situation be. We either go do our own thing and get our mind off of things, or we talk about other stuff and get our minds off of things. Then we circle back to that same conversation, because you definitely don't want to leave the conversation undiscussed, not talked about, none of that. You definitely want to come back to it, but we come back to it when, like I said, we're rational. We're now, granted, something I noticed in our back and forths is that we're both hearing each other's sides. It's just, you're in battle, so I'm not gonna give you nothing, because that's not, because right now it don't sound like you hear me, so I'm not gonna let you know that I'm hearing you when you don't sound like you're hearing me. But then when we come back maybe a day or 2 or 3 later, everybody done heard exactly where the other person was coming from. Everybody was paying attention. But now that the intense emotions are taken away from it, we can really get some things solved and, go from there and really be vulnerable in a way that doesn't feel like we're getting dismissed or not being heard or not being seen in the conversation. So it's just like, ooh, emotional intelligence, y'all. Everybody think they got it till you really get put in that ring to do the test, and then you find out, nah, I'm not. Because again, it's being aware of what each person can handle in that moment. Some people can't handle knowing that something went wrong, especially for the people who their life has been a whole shit ton of going wrong. Now, the person that I'm trying to get to know or that I love or that I'm in a relationship with is telling me something else is going wrong. When previously, when something went wrong, that led to me having to da 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 da, like whatever, fill in the blank. So now, when something goes wrong, it puts me on edge, or I run away from it. I like shut down, or I, disregard it altogether and try to just go to the good times. And it's like, you can only do that for so long, because the more you push it down and keep pushing it down, because you're trying to either run away or avoid it, like even in proximity, it is gonna come out anyways. Like, previously, before this guy, I because I lean towards the anxious attached style of attaching to people. I wouldn't communicate my needs. I would just overly cling, want to be up under you all the time. I would want to, take up all of your energy and your space and your time and your attention. Like, I would want that, rather than just communicating, hey, when we spend time together, can it be quality time? Hey, when you're around me, I like physical touch. Can you make sure that you're affectionate? These things that you could possibly get a no from, because of course we're all scared of rejection, right? Communicating those things, and then having real conversations about those things, paying attention to how the person in front of you is receiving it, because that's part of it. It's not enough to communicate, but are they receiving it? Do they seem like they genuinely care to want to fix the problem, or does it seem like they're just listening so that you can stop talking? It's all of these things. And that's why, like, vulnerability is so beautiful. I've already talked about vulnerability, and I may have another episode about it, which I don't think I need to, but go look at that episode. But vulnerability it's a blessing in disguise that they make us think is the weakest thing you could do, but in reality, it's the strongest thing you could do. It's the realest thing you could do. You find out who your people are when you're vulnerable. You find out who cares about you, who wants to be in your life. All that when you wear that heart on your sleeve, you find out, like, what's real versus what's not. When you're hiding behind a mask, trying to show up like, I don't even know who you're trying to show up as. You never really know who's in your corner, who has your best interests at heart. But when you let those guards down and you put it out there that something hurt your feelings, or you dislike something, or, this thing made you feel uncomfortable, or whatever or even that, you really like something, because I don't want to just keep it positive, but that, what, I really love when you call me, you know, on your breaks. I really love when you plan these dates. I really love these. Like, that's vulnerability, because vulnerability comes with a aspect of rejection. And that's the reason why a lot of us suck at being vulnerable, is because we don't like rejection. Because the moment you put your heart on your sleeve and somebody disregards it or doesn't give you the things that you need, it's deemed as rejection. And if you didn't cope with rejection well when you were younger, you're not even going to think to put yourself in that line of fire ever again. But that's the best place to be. Like, I am, it's crazy, because, like, I have my moments, and it's funny because we both tell each other this, like, you have a hard time being vulnerable. And he told me that, and I told him that. And it's like, duh, the fuck? Like, of course, I think everybody has a hard time being vulnerable, but it's such a big payout. He gets to see, like, yo, this person actually cares enough to try and figure it out. And I get to see that exact same thing, is that, hey, this person actually cares enough to try and figure it out. Like, it's not just on some just let me fix this to shut her up, or let me do this just to get what I want. Like, let me do this just to da 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 da, like fill in the blank. But it's like, no, let me do this because I really like this person in front of me, and I like the connection we have, and I don't really want it to go nowhere. So like, let me figure it out for that alone. Is that I want to continue to see where this can go, and that honestly is the best way to navigate any situation. And that's not just romantic. Like, if you have a friend and conflict comes up and you put your heart on your sleeve, and they're like, dang, I really like this girl real for real, like, let me figure this out so we can see how this can continue to progress, because she's solid, like, she's a pretty good person, like, she has my best interest at heart, like, I don't really want to lose this person, so let me try and figure this out so that we can continue to build this connection. Like, when you have somebody around you or people around you that have that mindset, that's how you know you're finding your people. But the only way you're going to get to those people is by being open and honest and putting your heart on your sleeve. Is it comfortable? Not at all. Is it the most terrifying thing that you're probably ever going to do? Yeah. But it's worth it. It is really worth it to, like, be that courageous to say, you know what, I've been hurt in my past, but I'm not going to let that dictate how I connect and bond with people moving forward. Because I know what it feels like to have bomb ass connections. And I want to get back to that space of having bomb ass connections. Or maybe you never even had that space because you've been walking around with a mask on since you became an adult. Maybe even before you became an adult. Maybe something in your childhood made you had to immediately start faking it till you made it, and you've been faking it this whole time. And so you feel like people are in your life for you, and they really are in your life for other reasons. And then it's just like, damn, who really was here for me? I think celebrities deal with that a lot, where it's like, dang, do people even know me for real? Like, which, granted, I don't even think you really care if the world or the public knows you for real. But it's like, when you start attracting those quote unquote friends or partners or whatever, it's like, do they get to know you for real? Or have you faked the funk so long that you don't even know who you are? Like, everything that you do doesn't even resonate with who you truly are at the core. And so now everybody you attract is only there because of that persona you don't put on. Now it's just like, damn, I'm not being who I was intended to be. All of the people around me are not my people. I don't know what I got going on right now. Like, I'm lost in the sauce. Like, you fake the funk so long that your whole life starts to mimic the fake. And then when you really when you finally have that realization, I can only imagine how difficult that is to change that. Like, I've been blessed, and I ain't gonna say like I probably haven't had people around me that necessarily shouldn't have been around me, but I've been blessed for the most part to not completely lose who I was. Like, I've been pretty true to who I am. Are there some parts of me that got neglected because of rejection and stuff from the past? Yes, definitely. But for the most part, I've been true to myself, and I'm even working on being true to all parts of me, you know, and just showing up as my full self. And that has been the most rewarding thing that I have done. Like, dealing with this dude, this has been the first situation where I am showing up authentically me, and it's accepted. Like, it feels really good to be accepted. The conflict is really tough. It's tough as nails, but I don't expect it to be easy. The conflict is tough. It's tough, but the first time in a long time I am accepted for who I am because I showed up being who I was and was greeted with somebody that was like, "Hey, I actually like that." Like, because I'm about as corny as you. I'm about as goofy as you. I'm about as weird as you. Like, and because I was able to show up as myself, I provided a space for somebody else to do that. Or he showed up as himself and he provided a space for me. I don't even know how that worked out. I don't know if I provided a space for him. He provided a space for me. I don't know, but it's like I get to be my full authentic self, like corny, goofy, nerdy, like all of me. I get to do that, and having somebody that is just like, "Hey, you're fire," like is really cool, and it just takes getting to know yourself and really accepting all parts of you and being happy that you are who you are enough to be able to communicate that to somebody else. Like, it's like those things are like amazing in and of itself, is when you learn who you, not even learn, but when you rediscover who you are, live that, attract somebody off of that, and it makes the conflict not seem so hard to even, okay, I'm lying, conflict is hard, and I'm gonna say that 1,000 times. If y'all didn't hear me the first time, the conflict is hard because you have somebody that is showing up exactly how you're showing up, which is, yo, I really don't do this. This is the first time I'm doing this. I'm putting my heart on my sleeve and I'm navigating what that really looks like. Baby, when I say defensive, DEFENSE, we're both on the defense. At some point, I do pray somebody gets on the offense, but right now we both be on the defense, especially in the heat of the moment. But like I said, after all of that dies down, we are reminded of like why we connected in the first place. And I think that's really what, when I come across different couples that are, married long term, their content or, the interviews they do or whatever, it's like, yeah, the conflict might go there, but when you were reminded of why y'all even connected in the first place, you're like, we got to figure it out. Like, we got to figure it out. Like, there is no other option, because you did something for me that nobody else was able to do or hadn't did before. Like, why would I even give up on you so easily? And it's like, oh, it's weird, it's hard, it's tough, especially in this generation of, you can find somebody else, you could do this, that, and the third. Yeah, you can, but maybe you can't. Like, you could find all that your heart desires, doesn't mean that it's not going to come with its set of challenges. Now, could you possibly have better challenges? Yeah, maybe. But then what do you sacrifice for that? Maybe that's time, because maybe you have to do a bit more healing in order to, attract that type of person. And so now you're spending more time alone. And it's like, it's all trade offs. It's all like, okay, if I don't want to deal with the really tough things right now, okay, let me stop dating. Let me continue to work on things. Let me continue to figure out things. Let me focus on myself. But then that pushes back the time clock. And then it's like, I can push back that, but then now I meet my husband later. So maybe if I intended on having this amount of children, I gotta wait and have this amount of children. Or the time in which I thought I was gonna get married, this is the time in which I'm getting married. Like, it's so many different things that you really think about when it comes to like all of this stuff. And so I'm just like, I'm in a period of uncomfortability. And so I'm not trying to run away when things get hard right now. Like, I'm not comfortable anymore just running away when things get hard, because that is, it sucks. I think, personally, I think that, when you are able to run away at the moment that it gets hard, then, like, was it really real? Like, people talk about, oh, Black people shouldn't have this struggle. But if you listen to every long-term successful quote unquote marriage, baby, they sounded like they struggled a lot, but they also were resilient to a lot. They overcame a lot. They worked through a lot. They stuck it out a lot. So it's like, what do you truly want? Do you want to keep hop jumping and skipping your ass to relationships where you're going to always constantly have to work on something, because that's the whole point of relationships, is that you're supposed to work on yourself? Or are you going to find the one that, again, accepts you? Like, is it not accepts? Accepts you. How you say it with A? Accepts you. Find the one that accepts you for who you truly are, and navigate the conflict in the best way possible. Of course, maintain boundaries. So don't let nothing get violent if that's not the type of person you are. Don't let nothing get super duper disrespectful if that's not the type of person you are. Don't let nothing, like, when it comes to like infidelity or cheating or that stuff, if that's not who you are. Maintain those boundaries. If they're not crossing over those hard boundaries, then figure it out, y'all. Figure it out. Emotional intelligence is you putting yourself in spaces regardless of outcomes. Figure it out. Like, of course, the outcome is to make it work, but showing up for yourself at all costs in order to get what you need, because most of us really just want companionship. And whether that's romantic, long term, what am I trying to say? Whether that's like marriage or long term relationship or whatever, like, most of us want companionship. You gotta be able to communicate your needs, listen to people communicate their needs, go through tough conversations, take it in, really understand that you're not the only person going through stuff. You're not the only person trying to figure out how to do it. And meet the person where they're at. And hopefully they meet you where you're at too. Like, by no means am I a pro at any of this. But sometimes in my mind, I feel like I show up as that. And he's kind of let me know that. It's like, you're doing all this healing and going through the personal development and all this other stuff. So somewhere in your brain makes you think that you're like up here while everybody else is down here. I think that starts to come out a little bit in different types of scenarios, but it's like, by no means am I pro. By no means do I know what I'm doing. Like, by no means am I an expert. I'm just willing to do the work. I'm willing to take critique so that I can do the work better. I'm willing to practice, because practice makes damn near perfect. Like, that's me. And so when I show up in the conflict, it may come off as, I know, right? Like, I know what's better for us. Like, I know but it's like, nah, it's like, I'm just trying to figure it out. And that's the one thing that I'm always going to do, is try to figure it out. Because that's just who I am. If I feel like something's going wrong, I'm going to try to figure it out. Am I gonna always think that I'm the something going wrong? No, I don't think nobody ever thinks there's a something going wrong, but sometimes you're the something going wrong. Sometimes the stuff that you have embedded within you is causing a lot of the dysfunction too. Just like a lot of what's embedded into them is causing the dysfunction into the situation. By no means is anybody, what is it? What's the word? Unscathable? Nah, that's not what I'm trying to say. I want to say irreconcilable, but that's not what I'm trying to say either. What's the word I'm trying to say? By no means is nobody like unflawed. Let's just say that. So you have stuff that makes them, that reminds them of their stuff, just like they have things that remind you of your stuff. That's why we're perfect mirrors. Like whoever comes into your life is a perfect mirror for you. It's just like in that moment, are you ready to put in the work, or are you ready to continue to run away from the work? Because I personally, and low key, it could be wrong, but I personally think that anybody that comes into your life that you take, like, think could be romantic, like literally that could be your person if you choose to do the work with them. But some people aren't in the space to do the work, ready to do the work. You know, they may still be fearful of doing the work, so they're avoidant or anxious, you know, they're or disorganized because they're scared to do the work. Like, but every person is a reflection of you. It's just, am I really ready to dig up this trauma? Like, am I really ready to, you know, go on this journey? Because every person that I've dealt with so far has shown me a piece of what I've been through in my past. A piece. A piece. Some people have shown me more of what I've been dealing with. Some people have shown me little because of time. But I was like, for the most part, I was never really able to work on it because them in front of me didn't choose me. Because unfortunately, dudes still have the what is it called, the access to relationships, so I couldn't work on it. But if all of them would have offered me a relationship, I probably would have took it, because I'm well aware that the only way you're gonna grow is if you have supports around you. Now, they could have been bad supports, I don't know, but they would have been supports nonetheless, and they would have shown me different parts of myself that were still very much tainted or blacked out or whatever. But I never got to a space. Okay, I'm lying. I had one boyfriend, ex one. Everybody else was situation thingies, mingling, mixins, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. But they never offered a relationship, so I could only do what I could do in the moment, and that wasn't really too much. But imagine if I ain't even finna imagine that, because there's some. I was gonna say, imagine if everyone, nah. But the amount of work I could have did if, you know, the one after my ex would have locked in, or the one after that would have locked in, or the one after that would have locked in. There's so much work that could have been done. But granted, they might have not been ready to do that work. They might have not even known that this stuff was going to come up for them. Or they did know and they just been running away from it this whole time, and I was just a piece of their chapter in their book. Like, we're all flawed. We're all flawed. And we all come to the table with something that is causing the other person to be like, well, wait a minute. Let me lift up this shield, because you're doing too much. And the moment you realize that you're not showing up is emotionally intelligent as you may think you are, that's the moment that changes the game. Like, that's the reason why with this new guy, I don't stay upset with him for so long. Is because after I get out my feelings and stop being defensive, I'd be like, dang, I impacted him too. Dang, I made him feel this way too. Dang, this is the first person that actually, and that's part of, okay, tangent time. Y'all know I like to go off on a tangent. Come here, man. Come here. Just come here. Come here. Y'all need to start letting people know when something's wrong with y'all. Like, real deal. Like, and I I get it. As a man, you're supposed to da 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 da, but no. When stuff comes up for you, you need to let them know, because that's the reason why a lot of women think that they don't be doing shit until they run into somebody that lets them know, hey, bitch. I'm sorry, not bitch. Hey, woman. Like, you're doing stuff, because this guy, he don't let me know every time until like I bring up something, but it's like he's calling me out on stuff that nobody else has really called me out on until like way later or after the fact. And it's like, I call him out on whatever. Like I mentioned before, he may say like, it seems like you call me out for everything, and I really don't. But I can get what he's trying to say is like, when something makes you feel some type of way, you call me out on it. And I'm like, in the mind space that I'm in now, why wouldn't I? Like, I got needs that need to be met, and you're hurting my feelings. So get to meeting those needs or get the fuck on. Like, period, point blank. I really wish men would adopt that same thing. Like, I got needs that need to be met. Let me let you know what you're doing that's making my nerves bad, so that you can either meet my needs or I can get the fuck on. Like, communicate it. I wouldn't care if you think you're complaining or being like, whatever you want to put into the sentence. I don't think you should care about being that when you got feelings too, and y'all feelings make y'all do stupid shit. Like, go out and cheat, not pay the person no attention, or be do more working than being at home, or being with the dudes more than being at home. Like, if you notice you're starting to want to be away from your partner, it could be because you keep letting these little things that you swear is not big deals and all this other stuff, you keep letting them slide. You keep letting them slide, keep letting them slide. Like, communicate those things. Because more often than not, if you let her know that she's doing something to make your nerves bad, if she's your person, because again, we're looking for our people. If she's your person, she's going to be like, dang, I didn't even know that that was something that bothered you. Let me be more mindful of that, or let me work on that, so that I'm not constantly making you feel some type of way. But no, y'all suck it up. Be like, oh, we men, we go deal with it. And then you really don't deal with it. And then you end up making the situation way worse. Put your heart on your sleeve and tell people what is wrong with you, because y'all got just as many problems as us. We're just a little bit more willing to communicate it than y'all, and that's part of the problem. That's the reason why there's so many women out here not fixing themselves. Like, when it comes to like working with men not fixing themselves, is because y'all not even letting them know what they're doing to make your nerves bad. Like, let them know, please. And not just when they let you know that you did something wrong, because she not gonna be able to receive that. That's another thing about emotional intelligence. You gotta know when to deliver the information. She's not gonna be able to receive that information if, when she lets you know you're doing something wrong, and then now after all of this time you want to let her know that she been getting on your fucking nerves this whole time. So the fact that she's bringing up what you done did, like, she ain't trying to hear none of that. If anything, she finna get super duper defensive, tune all that shit out, throw it all out the window. Now you're gonna be like, this is why I never tell a woman why da 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 da. No, bitch, it's because you really didn't let her know when it was specifically for you. You took over her moment to let her know something about you, and that was not the best time to do that at all. Take time for yourself to advocate for yourself, and then see if this is the woman that truly wants to fix it with you. But waiting until she lets you know that you did something wrong to let her know, well, shit, I don't give a fuck about none of that because you done been doing this, that, and the third, and I ain't say nothing. So then you try to minimize why she shouldn't say anything or why all of this is wrong. And it's like, nah, that's not how that works. Just because you were not taught to speak up for yourself does not mean that you tell this person in front of you to stop talking or speaking up for themselves. Like, if anything, you should learn from her instead of seeing her as complaining or being extra or nagging, because that's the word that people love to say women do, is nag. How about you take on some of those traits yourself and y'all help each other grow? Because that's the whole purpose of telling you that you're doing something wrong, is to help you grow and evolve, or be mindful, or utilize that trait in a different way or whatever, rather than just fix it. Like, no, I care about you. I want you in my life, but I don't want to feel like you are intentionally hurting me by you continuously doing this. And you can do the same, man. You can do the same. You can do the same. Women receive it when they do it, if they do it in the appropriate manner, which is taking time for themselves to let you know, rather than taking your time. Because I understand. I get my time taken, and I be like, fuck all that shit. When you take my time of me letting you know when you done did something wrong, and you try to let me know when I done, I ain't trying to hear none of that shit. But if you take your time, I'm going to receive it arms wide open. Because I'm trying to grow. And I'm trying to be better. And I actually like you in my life. I ain't trying to get rid of you. Put your heart on your sleeve. And let me know what's bothering you. Because the last thing that I will want to do is to keep poking the bear. Then when you poke me back, I feel like, where the fuck did this come from? Because you never let me know that you've been over here just sweeping stuff up under the rug. But now the rug is full of shit and shit's popping out. Like, if I could give men any piece of advice, is let women know when they're getting on your fucking nerves. Because I'm going to let you know when you getting on mine. Period, point blank. Because that's how you advocate for yourself. That's how you advocate for yourself. Like, yeah. Like, let us know. Are all women ready for that? No. But you need to figure out which ones ain't ready. So go ahead and start practicing, because you really do need to figure out which ones ain't ready. But, for people like me, we're ready. We're ready to know how to work on ourselves so that we can continue to have a fruitful relationship with you. One that continues to bear beautiful fruit and not rotten fruit. Let us know when we jumping and skipping on your goddamn nerves. Please. That's all we can ask for. Like, if men start doing that, which, granted, they're doing it now on the internet, and it is annoying because you're not keeping it personal. It's generalized, and it's not really helping nobody. And it's crazy because I think that's making them even more upset, because it's like, we letting y'all know what's wrong with us now, and y'all still da-da-da. But no, this is personal. The woman in front of you, let her know when she's doing something to you to make your nerves bad. Because generalizations, they're not helpful. You're not dealing with every woman on this planet. You're dealing with the one in front of you. So it needs to be specific to her. Let her know when she's hot jumping, skipping on your nerves. Let her know when she's reminding you of your mama. Let her know when she's reminding you of the exes that did this. Well, no, don't necessarily say the exes that did this, that, and the third, but let her know when she's rubbing up against a trigger so she can, work on that. Because we're not out here trying to trigger y'all. And I'm sure women are aware that they be doing stuff to men, but they constantly say, well, he never said it. He never communicated it. So it's like, okay, man, we're out here telling y'all to open up your fucking mouths. Go ahead. Do it. If it's not received in the way in which that is supposed to be received, or you're looked at as less than a man, or whatever the case may be, that's, again, not your people, not your person, not the woman you should have around you, especially if you're a father, got children. That's not the woman you should have around your kids. None of that. She shouldn't even have a place in your life. If when you say, hey, babe, don't say those words to me, that's not go fly around here. If she can't take that in and be on some, you know what, the people in my past never said nothing about it, but I do realize that can be very hurtful or demeaning or disrespectful. So let me be more cautious with you. Is it gonna take some time for her to get it right? It's gonna take some time. Just like it's gonna take some time for y'all to get it right for us too. We get it. Grace. That's grace that we gotta extend to everybody. But in order to be able to extend that grace, you gotta give them something for them to even be able to extend the grace with. So let them know when they're getting on your nerves. That is the most important part of emotional intelligence, is, again, communicating your needs regardless of the result, and in a way that is receptive. Taking time out for you. Don't bring it up in the argument or in the wrong time or whatever. Like, bring it up in a time where there's no intense emotions there, whether happy or sad. Because you wouldn't want to have a happy time and then be like, you know what, babe, when you be talking to me like that, I don't really... But you don't want to have it when it's like super intense on the negative side either. Like when it's very neutral, maybe y'all kicking in a house one day and y'all had an argument like that weekend or the other day, I don't know. Hey babe, when we just had that argument, when you da 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 da, like that really made me feel like da 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 da. Like it put me back in a situation when da 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 da. That response from that tells you everything you need to know about how to proceed. Cause she either gonna be like, dang, I didn't even know, that was not my intentions, or that ain't got nothing to do with me, you need to work on that, da 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 da. Like, all that's gonna let you know how you need to proceed. In my mind, when I'm like in those moments of conflict, I be wanting so bad to be like, you know what, this isn't my problem. I shouldn't have to be, the one to do this, that, and third. But then I remember too, like, that's the same on their end. Like, this is not their problem either, but it's a lot that we as women put onto them too, and they do their best to try to take it on. So it's like, they should be able to do that to us too. Like, let their stuff out. They should be, it's not an excuse as to why you do everything, especially stuff that crosses boundaries, but it is a valid reason as to why you show up the way you are, is because what was normalized in your past is now being challenged in your present, and you got to figure out how to be a whole different individual in certain situations, which is a whole skill you have to learn, which we don't become experts in the skill until you did 10,000 hours of it. Well, if you're not even practicing on a daily basis on how to get through this stuff, you're never going to become an expert in doing something different. All you're going to do is constantly run away, and then you're constantly dealing with new people, and you tend to attract the same shit because the universe is telling you, baby, you're not passing the test. You can't move on to the next grade and you haven't even passed this test. So yeah, that's that's it's just be honest, y'all. Be honest, communicate, do the tough things, have like courage, being courageous, being brave, all of these things that we are as humans. Apply that to your relationships and you'd be better off for it. I don't get how people are so fruitful and everything in their work life, but then everything else is suffering. Like, why are we not transferring these same skills to everything else? And it's weird. Like, just transfer them over. Like, if you're very successful in your business life and your career life, but you suck at relationships, baby, if you don't learn how to transfer them skills over and start making it do what it do, because all you have to do is be courageous. All you got to do is be brave. All you got to do is be willing to take risks, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. All of that is how you have fruitful relationships. The moment you start doing that in your relationships, the moment you're going to start like seeing great returns on your investments. Like, just do it. Ain't that Nike? Nike said, just do it. Just do it. But y'all got it. Y'all got it. Just like I got it. I'm practicing and I'm working and I'm doing and we got it. But yes, so like I said, next week, you will see the first part of the episode with my little brother, him talking about one of his aces. It's weird because he's kind of still going through stuff because he's still a kid, but you know, you get to see his perspective from the younger generation X, I think that is. So yeah, I'll be sharing that with you, and then the follow link will be part 2. So can't wait for y'all to see that. That conversation was enlightening. Like, I learned some new things, I knew some things, but I think it'll be very cool to share the perspective of my little brother. And then hopefully my sister, maybe I can get my big brother on here too. We'll see. I don't know. He's weird. But you know, start incorporating everybody and then continuing my own conversations and what I'm learning on this journey. So yeah, that's all I have for y'all. I really just wanted to redo the emotional intelligence video. Like I said, go watch the other one. It's way much more informative. This one was way much more analogy. No, not analogy. Allegorical. No, what's the word for story? I can't think of it. But it was way much more story oriented. So I hope that you all were able to kind of get a new perspective from me about it and learn some things, get to implement some things, practice some things, because that's the goal, is to learn, grow, and do, and talk your shit about it. So yes, y'all, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Stream me on all streaming platforms, everything. I'm on it, all streaming. And yeah, I'll tune in with y'all next week, Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Until then, bye. Well, no, this is Talk Your Shit with Deja, where we drop the I, because not only can I talk my shit, but I want you to talk your shit too. Bye.